who have refused to heed of the call of abandoning Kenyans at a time when they need them most. Especially now, at a time when we are heading for Christmas, a time of happiness, a time when families get together, a time of forgiveness, a time when there is reconciliation. And I wish to say that for those of you, for those in the healthcare fraternity who continue to work and give service to people in a truly Florence Nightingale sort of approach, I really thank you. And I hope that God will reward you, even if man does not. Fellow Kenyans, all Kenyans have been affected by this pandemic. Besides losing healthcare workers, and not to downplay the fact that healthcare workers are more exposed by the virus and at greater risk, we have also lost teachers, we have lost political leaders, media personalities, and other professionals, including lawyers, financial experts, and even school children, among others. No one has been spared. But we appreciate that because of their exposure, healthcare workers deserve a little bit more care. And I have said it from the word go when I spoke about a nation first takes care of its soldiers during a war so that they can protect the others. It is for this reason that both levels of government have worked hard to ensure that the welfare of all healthcare workers in our public facilities are taken care of. Even as we address ourselves to the issues raised, we must not forget that Schedule 4 of our Constitution provides for the function of the various levels of government. Health is one of those services that is devolved and is therefore largely a county government function. It is therefore important to note that most of the issues raised by the healthcare workers, unions, are county-specific and not to be addressed with the respective county governments. To address the concerns raised by healthcare workers, we have taken the following measures. Number one, with regard to PPEs, both national and county government facilities have provided adequate and quality PPEs to all frontline workers at all times. And on this matter, we need to really move away from rhetoric to practical matters. Healthcare workers who have been asked to go to work without protective equipment should really not do it. And we are yet to be told by a healthcare worker that they have been asked or been forced to attend to cases without PPEs. Indeed, every county has a committee that deals with PPEs. No county to date has come to the Ministry of Health and said that they have either asked workers to go without PPEs or indeed told us that they have run out of PPEs without us supporting in terms of replacements and additional PPEs. Indeed, most counties tell us that they have got stores, PPEs in their stores. On insurance and compensation, all county governments have provided comprehensive medical cover for their employees, including health care workers. 19 counties have cover with NHIF, while 28 counties have cover with private insurance providers. Employers are not compelled by any law to procure insurance services with NHIF alone, and therefore they have used their discretion to procure with different service providers licensed by the relevant licensing authorities. Including in the covers that we have provided as the national government is group life, group personal accident, and WIBA. As of November 2020, the 473 6-month contractual COVID-19 staff had their details forwarded to the Ministry of State for Public Service and Gender Affairs to facilitate their introduction for comprehensive medical cover by NHIF. For USC staff, on a 3-year contract, authority has been given to introduce them to IPPD payroll by PSC so that they can also get comprehensive medical cover. Number 3, on the UHC staff payment, we wish to report that 9,145 staff have been engaged and cleared for salary payment. By November 2020, a total of 8,604 have been paid their salaries. Out of the remaining 541, 234 have been cleared and are on the payroll for December, obviously with backdated salaries, while 307 have pending cases because of various challenges, including varied accounts and non-submission of required documents. Some have submitted dormant accounts that have resulted to their salaries being returned by their banks. And this is not just something that happens to health workers, this is something that happens across board. Number 4, on the demand of hiring of more staff, while we acknowledge that there is need for recruitment of more health workers, the demand by unions to recruit specified and specific numbers of health workers is not attainable, given the strained resources and revenue shortfalls across all sectors of our economy. However, in the last 6 months, county governments, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and PSC, have recruited 9,858 officers of various cadres of health workers for a period of 3 years under the UHC program. Others recruited are 118 medical officers, 14 pharmacists, 5 epidemiologists, 114 clinical psychologists, 235 registered ICU nurses, 235 medical laboratory technologists, 1,891 specialized clinical officers, 3,897 nurses, and 739 health workers to specifically fight COVID-19. On promotions, over 25 counties have affected promotions of healthcare workers since August 2020. Accordingly, unions are encouraged to engage respective county governments to effect pending promotions based on the prevailing financial situation of the remaining counties. And as for the national government, 1,200 cases that had stagnated have been presented to the Public Service Commission, and consultative meetings are ongoing with the Commission for their promotion. On isolation facilities for healthcare workers in the event that they contract COVID-19 virus, the Council of Governors has confirmed that all counties have designated specific health facilities to treat all counties to treat all workers, all health workers and their dependents. Some counties have even made arrangements with private sector facilities for this. Unions are encouraged to reach out to the county departments of health to guide on the designated facilities in the respective counties. Again, to move from rhetoric, any health worker feeling abandoned on this matter should raise the issue with their respective departments of health for immediate redress. On delays of the remittances of statutory and third-party deductions, we take note that delays are as a result of exchequer delays from National Treasury. Counties have relied on bank overdrafts to ensure that salaries are paid on time. However, this overdraft cannot cover remittances of statutory deductions due to the huge monetary implications. It is also, I think, important as Kenyans to appreciate that the COVID-19 pandemic has not only affected revenue receipts for businesses, but also for the government. On payment of call allowances for doctors working for MOH, discussions are underway with key stakeholders, including regular multi-agency teams meetings chaired by the Ministry of Public Service and Gender Affairs and the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, as well as the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. On Health Service Commission, it should be borne in mind that this issue is a medium to long-term one that requires multiple players participating, including Parliament, the general public. Unions are encouraged, therefore, to lobby with the relevant institutions so that this can come to be alive. on conversion of all contractual employment to permanent and pensionable terms, as well as on the harmonization of risk allowance, we note that these issues are currently being addressed by a multi-agency committee headed by the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. It's worth, however, bearing in mind that even as a multi-agency committee does its work, enhancement of allowances in the public service must be approved by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Further, contractual engagement is recognized by law, and therefore the parties need to be guided by the terms of the agreement. I am personally particularly perturbed by the demand that a bonus given on the basis of goodwill and as a thank you by the President of the Republic of Kenya to our health workers is now being demanded to be a permanent feature. And it's difficult to fathom this. It's akin to somebody giving you a Christmas present, and then you demand that that Christmas present must now be given to you every day. It's a bit difficult to come to terms with it. But as noted above, there have been significant strides made towards addressing the issues to the largest extent possible. It is therefore regrettable that some health workers have chosen to down their tools and deny innocent Kenyans the much-needed health care service at this time of COVID-19 pandemic. I was trying to Google and find out which other countries this situation is pertaining. And to my utter surprise, the only healthcare workers that have gone on strike during a pandemic situation are the Kenyan healthcare workers. It's sad. It's sad. When the idea of the formation of a commission is more important than taking care of a woman who is about to deliver, and you look at her and you abandon her because a commission that is in the hands of Kenyans has not been formed, it's sad. It's sad to see a child walk into a hospital, and because a promotion has not been effected, you watch the child die. It's sad. Delays in salaries are happening across the country. In private sector, in your own media houses, in the businesses that we run, is happening in the government as a result of shortcomings of revenue collections. And it is happening not just to the health workers, it is happening to agricultural workers, it is happening to teachers, it's happening to everybody, it's happening to governors. And it's sad, therefore, it's sad when you push yourself aside and therefore assume or tell us that everybody else must sacrifice except I. So union officials at the county level should make sure that they work closely with county governments without pandering to the interests of national union officials who may not be aware of the issues affecting their members at the county level. We also encourage county governments to issue regular updates to their residents on the status of health service delivery through their local communication platforms. We call upon the health workers who are on strike to report back to work. As conciliation efforts between union officials, Council of Governors, and national governments continue, most of the demands have been met, but please do not think that it is possible to meet everything that you ask for. And it appears, therefore, when you demand for something, and then you shift the goalposts, when that one has been provided, it appears that the intention is to go on strike anyway, irrespective of what comes up, irrespective of what we are able to do. In this regard, we must recognize the effort of the multi-agency team comprising of different actors led by the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. In accordance with Section 79 of the Labor Relations Act of 2007, employees who engage in an unprotected strike, such as the one healthcare workers are in, are liable for disciplinary action by the employer. Besides, continuing with the strike is a sign of bad faith on the part of the healthcare workers, because it is at a time like this when the whole country is suffering. It is at a time when we are hearing there is a variant of the virus that has emerged. And it is possible for us, because of this variant virus, to start taking even other measures. We are reconsidering. We are looking at the possibilities of what to do about the flights. We are entering back into a situation that is an unknown. And at a time like that, if the person who is your soldier abandons you and runs away, it is really exposing our people. Furthermore, the workers should take note that the Employment and Labor Relations Court issued orders against the 3 unions undirected under the ELRC petition number E709 of 2020, involving the Kenya National Union of Nurses, Nairobi Metropolitan versus Nairobi Metropolitan Services, petition number E675 of 2020, between the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union and the Nairobi NMS, and case 6494 of 2020 to suspend the strike to allow for negotiations. We will endeavor at both levels of government to ensure that we do not abandon Kenyans by recruiting and replacing striking staff with other healthcare workers who are seeking employment, in order to ensure that we provide continued service in all our public health facilities. I take note that some counties have already advertised for these positions. Meanwhile, to ensure that Kenyans continue to get services, we are taking the following measures in relation to the National Hospital Insurance Fund. NHIF management has been instructed to expedite the declaration and contracting process for some additional 348 facilities in process to ensure that they are available to offer services to NHIF beneficiaries in the soonest possible time. Number 2, the Ministry of Health has written to the Council of Governors requesting the county governments in liaison with the County Department of Social Protection to identify the poor and vulnerable households for enlisting progressively to the UHC scheme as beneficiaries. This will ensure that, that most vulnerable groups are cushioned appropriately, as with an NHIF card, they can access services in thousands of private facilities. Finally, we call upon the legislature, both Parliament and county assemblies, to give the executive arm of an opportunity to manage employee relations. This will create a conducive environment that will allow focus on the fight against the pandemic for the sake of all Kenyans. Before I give the figures as they stand today, I would like to invite my brother, Governor Kagwe, to also make remarks on this issue. Governor, please.
Thank you very much, CS. Members of the Fourth Estate, our brothers and sisters in this country who are listening to the CS. I really don't have much to say. The issues that the CS has brought out are issues that have been canvassed between this ministry and the Council of Governors. But let me reiterate this. 1, we do not know of any country in this world called Earth that medical workers have gone on strike. At least during this pandemic, have continued with the strike the way our workers have done. Second, for those of you members of the Fourth Estate who have been with me, because I've been the chair of Human Resources in the Council of Governors, for the last 4 years, we have had meetings with the health personnel, continuous meetings, with the doctors, with the nurses, and with the clinical officers. And you can go back, because we had negotiations on return to work where we were able to increase salaries and other benefits. And they are not very small benefits. You can do your own comparisons in relation to other cadres in the public service. Basically what I'm saying is that the government, both levels of government have tried their best, and we were still in the process of conciliation, which process has not been finalized. So according to the labor laws, what they have done is not right. The third thing that I want to mention is that this matter has been canvassed in our courts of law, and there are orders in place. Like the CS indicated, it may be nice for us as Kenyans to accept the orders that have been given by our courts of law as we continue this conversation and thank you very much. I would want to conclude by saying that we thank those health workers who are still working. We sincerely thank them, and we urge them not to join the strike. We urge them during this season of festivities to be together with the other Kenyans and to help us as we're moving forward, and that as county governments will try our best. Even on this issue of salary payments, even though we have not received our resources for the last 3 months, I do not know of any county that is not paying salaries, because we have rushed to banks and other areas to ensure that salaries are paid. CS, I would want to stop there, because the issues that you brought out were issues that we had discussed ourselves. But I want to urge you, especially members of the Fourth Estate, if you can help us to pass this message, and also look at the issues for the last 4 years that you yourselves have actually covered, to see the extent to which government has actually tried to help the members of the health personnel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Is it on? Thank you very much, Governor Kagwe. I think that what I want to do is to very quickly, so that we can get questions at once, is to very quickly just mention a few things about the current situation of COVID-19, and then open the floor for questions that you may want to ask. Today, we have recorded 154 people who have tested positive to the virus from a sample size of 3,262. It therefore means that Kenya has now surpassed over the 1 million mark in terms of testing. We have now tested 1,014,287 people. And from the cases, 141 are Kenyans and 13 are foreigners. In terms of distribution, again, you'll get the figures that we are going to distribute, but Nairobi still carries 50, Kilifi 20, Kiambu 15, Marsabit 10, Turkana 10, Busia 9, Meru 8, and we continue on like that. You'll be given these figures. On my part, what I would like to add is that because we continue to lose people, and today we have lost 3 patients who have succumbed to the disease, and therefore we have lost 1,647 persons to date. And we condole with the families and friends of those who have lost their lives. I would like to point out that as we head for the Christmas holidays, it is so important for us to ensure that we protect ourselves, to keep to the measures that we have given, and to try and save people, as well as tell them not just follow the rules yourselves, but ask them to follow the rules. If you are in a family setting over Christmas and one person is not observing the rules, please ask them to follow the rules so that they can save themselves as well as save you. Kwa hivyo, hatutaki kuongeza mengi sana, ile tu ni kusema tunawashukuru. Tunaendelea kuwashukuru sana sana wale wafanyikazi wa afya ambao wanaendelea kusaidia wale ambao ni wagonjwa, wale ambao wamekataa kugoma. Sisi tunawashukuru na tunawasihi muendelee hivyo hivyo. Ndio wakati huu wa Christmas, wakati huu wa sikukuu, ni wakati ambapo Mungu anatueleza mwenyewe tusaidiane. Wakati huu si wakati wa mgomo jameni. Wakati huu ni wakati wa kusaidiana. Hakuna sekta hata moja ambayo haiumii wakati huu kwa sababu ya hii virusi. Ikiwa ni wafanyikazi wa magazeti wanaumia, ikiwa ni wafanyikazi wa maofisi wanaumia. Mshahara ukishelewa, unashelewa, lakini hakuna mtu. Watu wanafanya kazi kwa wakulima, mshahara inashelewa. Wale wanafanya kazi kama ma-engineers, mshahara pia inashelewa. Hata mshahara wa governor unashelewa, kwa sababu ni vile dunia ilivyo wakati huu, na hakuna pahali pengine dunia nzima jameni. Hakuna nchi hata moja dunia nzima ambayo kwa wakati huu wafanyikazi wa afya wamegoma. Wanajua hii sio wakati huo. Kuna wakati wa kuzungumza, kuna wakati wa kusaidiana, hata pengine iko wakati wa kugoma. Lakini jameni, si wakati huu. Wakati watu ambao wana virusi, vile vile tunasikia hii virusi imeanza kugeuka kidogo. Kuna variant, inaitwa variant. Hatujui inatupeleka namna gani. Hatujui itakuwaje katika nchi yetu. Kwa hivyo, mimi nawasihi tu wale ambao mmegoma, tafadhalini, mimi nawaomba, mimi nawasihi, tusije tukatupa wa Kenya, tusije tukawashilia wa Kenya mbali, kwa sababu ni ngumu sana kuelewa vile mtu anaweza sema kwa sababu mimi sina promotion, kwa sababu sijapandishwa katika kazi yangu, mimi nitaasha mama ambaye anapata mtoto aende peke yake, aenda akafa kwa sababu hakuna commission imetengenezwa. Mimi nataka kuasha mtoto ambaye ameumia, ambaye ameanguka mguu kavunjika, ambaye pengine ameshomeka. Unasema utamuasha tu aende zake kwa sababu hujapata promotion. Jameni, tafadhalini, mimi nawasihi na waomba, washeni kwa wakati huu tuwe na utu. Ile kitu inaitwa utu ndani yetu. Tusije tukawashilia wa Kenya mbali vile mimi naona wengine wanataka. Ndio sababu na washukuru sana 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 wale wafanyikazi ambao wamekataa kabisa kugoma. Wanasema hawawezi kuachilia kina mama, hawezi kuachilia watoto waumie wakati huu wa Krismasi au wakati wengine wowote. Kwa hivyo mimi pia ningewauliza wananchi wa Kenya wenzangu, ukiwa unamjua daktari ama mfanyikazi mwenzako, mpigie simu tafadhali, mwambie wakati huu ile zawadi anaweza kutupatia katika Christmas hii, ile present mzuri sana anaweza kutupatia, hata asitupatie chochote, arudi kazini tu, aendelee na kazi yake. Hiyo tu ndio sisi tungewauliza. Asanteni sana. One or two questions, please. You have to speak louder because of the generator. And please say where you are, whether you want the governor to respond, whether you want Dr. Kibias to respond. Tell us what you want us to do.
My question is on...
It's not working.
I think I heard you. You're talking about travel restrictions? Okay. Okay, I heard your question. You didn't introduce yourself? Sorry? Next, Purity. Proceed.
We can't hear you.
Yes, I know you. Next. Iko ingine? Kama for our husband.
You have a question? Yes, now you told us the measures, you told us what you've done. So what's the way forward? Doctors are still on strike. What's the way forward to the counties and to those working under MOH? And also doctors demand
Sorry, if you repeat again, because we lost you in the beginning.
Okay. My name is Beldine Waliaula from KTN. I wanted to ask, so what's the way forward? You've given us measures, you've told us what you've done, but doctors still are on strike. Are their demands too much for the government to handle? What is the reducible that you can do so that they can come back? Because they are still persisting. They won't come back until you meet all of them. But what can you do as the government?
Okay. Thank you. I am going to do this. I am going to ask Governor Kagwe to respond specifically to the issue that was raised by Purity regarding PPEs, particularly at the county level. And I have challenged Purity. I have said, can somebody bring one person who can say, I was told to go and work without a PPE, or I was forced to work without a PPE. But since most of these operations are at the county level, I would like to ask Governor Kagwe to respond to that particular one.
Thank you very much, CS. I frankly do not know of any county where we have that problem. And as a Council of Governors, we all agreed that in order to ensure that the PPEs that we are giving out are up to standard, we are getting them from our government procurement agency. So I do not know of any county. And Purity, you work with a media organization. You have local correspondents. Just tell us of any county that you have heard that has happened. Because when it's said, it becomes very easy. But I do not know of any county. Like, for instance, if you told me Kisii, I'll be in shock. Because that can't happen.
Thank you. Thank you. In response to the question of Nasibo on travel advisories, yes, there is nothing that is not on the table. As you know, various actors are involved in discussing and observing global trends across the world. So far, we have not taken the measures, but we are in discussion. We are in discussion looking at what is happening across the world. As you know, the British government itself has limited travel by its own citizens, so that people leaving the UK would have to be on necessity, not just traveling on tourism or anything of the sort. We have taken that into consideration as we make our own arrangements and consider what further measures to take. And probably in the next 48 hours or so, we will be making further announcements. As far as the issue of what to do next is concerned, I think we have made that very clear. There are two things that can happen. The overriding situation is this: we cannot allow patients to be abandoned. We cannot, as a government, abandon sick Kenyans. We cannot do that. Therefore, there are only two positions or two things that can happen. One is that hopefully, given the discussions that we have been having, the workers, the ones who are striking, get back to work. And these are not, they are not very many. Because if you go to Kenyatta, if you go to KU, if you go to Eldoret, work is going on normally. We were talking today, we had a meeting with the CECs of the various counties, and all of them report significantly their counties are still working. They are still going on. So for those few who do not turn up for work, we have no choice. We have no choice but to try and get somebody into that place as soon as possible. Because if we don't, then effectively what we are saying is that we have abandoned Kenyans. We cannot do that. So in terms of what to do, I think it is clear. I think we have made it abundantly clear. Our wish is that everybody gets back to work. That's what we prefer. And that's what we are asking. And that's why I'm thanking again and again those who have continued to work with us. Asante sana, thank you all very much indeed.